What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jane. I'm a certified personal trainer based out of New York City. So if you've watched any of my review videos, one of the big things that I feel like I'm always going on about is that in a lot of apps and ebooks and Instagram workouts, there's not a designed warm-up or cool down. I love that there is a warm-up, but I hate what the warm-up is. The warm-up was not specific to the workout. And then I got to the end and I was like, where's the cool down? My girl, Whitney. Sometimes there's something general that'll be like a 5-minute jog or 2 minutes of jump roping or whatever it is. But in my opinion, warm-ups should be a little bit more structured than that. So before we dive into the how, I want to talk about the why. A good warm-up and cool down are going to be your #1 defense against injury. The other thing that a good warm-up is going to do is prime your muscles for the work. So like, for example, in a pull-up, we'd really want to warm up the lat so that when you get to the pull-up, you're using the right muscles to do the exercise. So doing that is going to lead you to have a better workout because you're priming the right muscles for the exercise, and you're going to get stronger because you're doing the exercise more efficiently. And that's one of the reasons why I think warm-ups and cooldowns need to be so specific to the individual, because each of us are going to have different weak points. So like, I might be able to turn my glutes on like that, like no problem, so I don't really need to like focus a whole lot on glute activation, whereas maybe my core doesn't turn on as well. So in my warm-up, maybe I should be doing a lot of like core activation work. So cooldowns are very similar in the way that they prevent against injury, but also slowly lowering your body temperature is going to make you feel so much better after a workout, because if you go from like 100 to 0 like that, you're gonna feel like nauseous and maybe lightheaded. So if you ever feel sick after a workout, it's probably because you just like did a lot of intense work and then stopped really suddenly. But an extra like 5 to 10 minutes after your workout could completely change that. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into what makes a good warm-up and how you guys can find some ways to make it specific to you and to the workout that you're about to do. A good warm-up is going to be A, specific to the workout, and B, specific to the person who's about to do the workout. So like I said, most fitness apps or ebooks are going to tell you to go on a jog or jump rope for 5 minutes, and while that's great because you're getting your heart rate up, it's not the most effective way to warm up. And the reason that is going to really protect you against injury is not just because we're getting the heart rate up and therefore like your body's actually warm, but it's really more because we're priming the muscles so that you're going to have better form in your actual workout. Most injuries happen because of bad form or incorrect muscle recruitment. So like when people get injured in a deadlift, it's most likely because they're using their back to pull, or when people get injured by running because they're running heel toe instead of staying, oh my god, New York, because they're running heel toe, or maybe they don't have a tight core. So a lot of these things don't actually have much to do with your body temperature and getting yourself like physically warm. It has way more to do with just priming your muscles and getting the muscles you're about to work ready to work with the correct form in the exercise. Of course, like getting your body physically warm does help a lot, but it's not the be all and end all. So that's just like the main thing that I want to point out just off the bat, is that there's so much more to a workout than just getting your heart rate up. The first thing you want to do is move from static or still to dynamic. Think more movement and using multiple planes of motion. You also want it to move from simple to complicated. So we don't want to start off with like a crazy yoga flow where you're like changing directions and doing all this stuff. We're probably going to start with like foam rolling or light stretches. And the most important thing is to move backwards, which sounds very confusing, but I'm gonna break it down for you, okay? So if you're not already following some sort of program, whether it's an app, an ebook, or maybe something that you wrote yourself, I highly suggest just starting off there. You really want to follow a progressive program that's going to help you get to your goals. That has been shown to be the most effective way to work out. That program can be really anything as long as you have a specific goal in mind, and that program's going to progressively overload you to get you to the end point. If you're building your own program or working with a trainer, I think that's amazing. That's probably the most personal way that you can get results. If you want to build your own program and you don't know where to start, I just filmed a video on my best tips for programming, so I'll link that. You guys should totally check that out. So like, just to start off, a program is important for a lot of reasons. First of all, this is how you're going to progressively overload yourself, and it's a fantastic way to track your progress, because it's very clear that you got stronger if last week you were lifting 10 pounds and this week you're lifting 12.5. I like working that way because you don't have to step on a scale, you don't have to take progress pictures, you don't have to track your calories. It's nothing like that. That's just my favorite way to track my progress. A progressive program has also been shown to be the most effective way to work out, so if you're not already doing this, again, I highly suggest it. It definitely takes a little bit of work or a little bit of money, but in the end it's worth it because it's going to get you the results that you want in the safest, healthiest, most effective way possible. So the reason that we're talking about that today is because if you don't know the workout that you're about to do, you can't specifically warm up for that workout. right? So whenever I'm building a workout program for someone or for myself, I like to look at the workout, make it have a clear beginning, middle, and end. If the beginning is like the warm up and maybe like the first exercise, we're actually not gonna do like what movies and stories do where the climax is at the end, and we're actually gonna put that climax right there at the beginning. So we're gonna do the hardest stuff first. So I figure out like what is the biggest exercise that we're gonna do. Usually it's something like a barbell back squat, a deadlift, pull-ups, something where you might be doing like the most amount of weight that you're gonna do for the day. You're definitely gonna wanna put that at the beginning of the workout. You kind of get the idea of where I'm looking when I look at a workout program. So put a pin in that, and then we're gonna walk through the warm up from beginning to end, but we'll come back to that. Okay. So where do you start? The first thing I like to do when I'm warming up is starting with something very simple like foam rolling or maybe some light stretches. Foam rolling is a really great place to start if you have the time, but it's not necessary for everyone. I think that if you have like really tight muscles, or maybe if you know that like your quads are overactive and you want to lengthen those before we dive into the workout, I think foam rolling is a really awesome place to start. After that, this is just a personal preference. This isn't something that everybody does, but for myself and for a lot of my clients, we're working on a computer for a lot of time during the day. So we're hunched over at a computer, or we're texting, we're sitting on the subway, we're doing all kinds of things where our spine is in flexion. So what I like to do is start off by stretching out the back. I like doing some simple T-spine rotation, just kind of like depending on honestly how the person's day went. Like if they had a really stressful day, or I feel like I've had a really stressful day, then I'll just do like a very calm stretch. If I'm like ready to go and I have a lot of energy, I'll probably make this a little bit more active and make this a moving T-spine stretch. So that's really just like a personal preference. Again, that's just a me thing, not everybody does that. So the next thing I would do is look at that climax exercise that we talked before, and I would figure out a couple of stretches for the muscles that we're going to use that day. So if we're doing like a deadlift, for example, I'm probably going to do a couple of stretches that are going to like stretch out my glutes and hamstrings. Maybe like a figure 4 stretch, something like that that's really going to like stretch out that area. I wouldn't do anything like too crazy. You don't want to push it too far. We're just warming up, keeping it light, just getting the body moving. The only big tip that I would say for the stretches, if you're just doing a static stretch, just make sure that you're holding it for at least 30 seconds. I would shoot like 30, 45 seconds, because you're not going to really get anything out of it unless you're holding it past 30 seconds. Once we're all stretched out, we've done all the simple stuff, we're going to start edging onto things that are a little bit more dynamic. So this is where I would throw in something that's maybe a little bit more dynamic, but again, not too complicated yet. So like some knee hugs, some quad stretches. If there's room, I would have them walk it. So sometimes I'll just say like walk down the hall, knee hugs there, and then quad stretches on the way back. So again, nothing too complicated. We're just getting ourselves moving. So then after we've done a little bit of moving, then I like to add in some activation. So you've probably heard of glute activation, because that tends to be like the trendiest buzzword, but you can actually do that for like every part of your body. It's just warming up. So if we're doing leg day, I definitely think that glute activation is awesome. I actually think glute activation is awesome for like any day, because your glutes are a really big stabilizer. So like even in your arm workouts, you're using your glutes to stabilize, so you can always throw in some glute activation. But definitely on leg day, I would suggest throwing that in. If it's back and bi day, then I would suggest maybe doing some simple rows, or some band pull-aparts are great. Now, if it's a full body day, or like maybe you're about to do some HIIT, that's when I think that it's the most important to find the weakest link and focus on that. So for someone, they might have a really hard time, like I said, activating their glutes. Like we live in a very quad dominant world, so a lot of people do have a hard time activating their glutes. So you can do glute activation on that day. Other people have a really hard time activating their core. They tend to put everything into that low back area. So if you have low back pain, that's probably what's going on. So then I would focus on something really, really simple to activate the core. Maybe some planks, 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Or you could do some like really simple chops and lifts, just things that are going to, again, not push the muscles too far, but just kind of get them to wake up a little bit. And I would keep those exercises really, really focused on one muscle, so I wouldn't be doing anything like super dynamic again. I would keep it really simple, really structured to a very small muscle group. So if you don't know what your weak spot is, that is totally fine. No one ever told me this before I became a trainer, and I would have had no idea where to start. So my biggest tip to figuring that out is just to talk to a trainer or somebody who has their certification, or like talk to someone who's studying for their exam, because they could probably use the practice and would love to see this on a person. So while we're in quarantine, you know, FaceTime your friends, say what's up. A lot of people do an overhead squat exam. In my gym, we do the functional movement screen, so it's going to depend a little bit person to person and who you talk to. But anyone who's who's getting certified or is certified is going to be able to help you with this, because part of our job as personal trainers is to look at the person in front of us, find out what their goal is and what their strengths are, and also find out what their weaknesses are. And then we create a program that's going to help you not only get to your goals, but fix all those little weaknesses. We sneak them in there. We're super sneaky people, okay? But we're going to sneak all these little things in there that are going to fix those weaknesses too, so that you overall not only hit that goal, but also hit a bunch of mini goals along the way. So also, I know we're not in gyms right now, but once gyms start opening up again, or if you decide to join a new gym, a lot of gyms do this assessment as like part of their new member thing. I don't even know what to call it. A lot of times when you join a gym, they'll like set you up with a personal trainer and you can do like a complimentary session with them. And in that session, they're most likely going to start off with some kind of assessment. So if you're like new to a gym, take advantage of that. So after we've activated the muscles that we're about to work on, or our weakest link, we're going to put it into motion. So this is the most dynamic part of the entire warm-up, and everyone's going to kind of approach this part differently. And at this point, some people may even begin their workout, especially if it's like a heavy squat day. You may see people like go over to a squat rack and maybe do their first set with some lighter weights. Personally, I like doing something a little bit more dynamic first, because up until this point, we've only focused on like tiny groups of muscles. So I like putting it all together first. But again, that's more of a personal preference, and the way that I train myself and my clients is a little bit more functionally. So this is the part for me where I like to do like big yoga flows where I feel like I'm working a whole lot of muscles. This is really specific to me and my training because I like to work more on the functional side. But this would be good for really anybody who's gonna do like any kind of circuit training or functional strength training, bar, Pilates, anything like that. Even if you're like weight training and you're just gonna do like a full body day, I think that this is a perfect thing to throw in there too, because this is the only time in the warm-up where we have been using the full body as one unit. But if you're gonna stick to more traditional strength training, I think that now would be a really good time to throw in an agility ladder. So if you've never worked with an agility, I can't even say it. If you've never worked with an agility ladder before, there's a lot of really simple exercises you can find online. What that's gonna do is really increase the speed that your brain and your muscles are communicating at. And if you get really good at an agility ladder, there's like a ton of crazy things you can do with it. It's super fun. But that's gonna increase your neuromuscular efficiency, which I talked about in my last video, but it sounds like a really fancy word. It really just means how your brain and muscles communicate. But that is vital when you're working with heavy weights, because you want your brain and muscles to be able to communicate as fast as possible. Working with something that's going to get your brain working a little bit harder, especially if you've had like a really long day, you know, that's a really good way to warm that up. So again, everybody's warm-up is going to look a little bit different, but that extra 5 to 10 minutes could not only make your workout so much better, but potentially save you from an injury that's going to put you out for weeks. Okay, so we go through the workout, we did the whole thing, and now what, right? So again, it's going to depend a lot on what you just did. So if you just did something cardio based like running or rowing, you're going to want to keep doing that activity and just slow it down a little bit. So like I love rowing, so if I just did like a 200-meter sprint, then after that, I'm gonna do a really easy like 100 meters where I'm taking it super slow, just bringing my heart rate down a little bit at a time. If your workout was like a 9 out of 10 intensity level, your cool down, you can bring it down to like 3 or 4 out of 10. If you were strength training, something that I like to do afterwards is just some really light resistance work. This could be either like a resistance band, body weight, maybe just some simple form work, just something that's like still keeping you moving, but nothing too intense. So then we're just gonna finish off with some light stretching or some foam rolling. So very similar to what we did at the very beginning of the warm-up. And you can just stretch or foam roll any kinds of muscles that you worked that day that you feel like are gonna be sore. So like if you deadlifted, you're probably gonna have some sore glutes. So maybe just take a second, do that figure 4 stretch, foam roll the glutes, and that's gonna help your recovery so much. But to be honest, I don't really keep my cool down super structured. I just like to get to the cool down, at least to the stretching part, do muscles that I felt like worked really hard that day. But the key points of your cool down is that you're going to want to bring your heart rate down slowly, and you're going to want to lengthen the muscles that you just worked. I also like to think of food as part of my cool down. So you just did your workout, you just did your physical cool down, and you know, you went off to take your shower, and then the next thing on your list should be to get some food in your body. I would suggest eating something that has like carbs and protein so that you can replenish your body after your workout. This like isn't how it works at all, but the analogy I like to use, pretend you're looking at like some drywall, and then you're going to take your hammer, you're going to poke a bunch of holes in it, okay? So that's what we just did during our workout. We took our muscles, our drywall, and beat it up. That's essentially what we just did. So then the cool down and the food are like taking plaster and filling all those holes. It's a really weird analogy, but just bear with me, okay? So that's really all there is to your warm up and cool down. Like I said, it's nothing crazy complicated. There are no secrets there. It's just putting in a little bit of thought and effort and actually taking the time to make it happen. So after this, I challenge you guys to warm up and cool down before and after all of your workouts and just see how that translates over into your actual workout and maybe into your recovery time. See how that makes you feel afterwards. I like to always remind myself and my clients that an extra 5 to 10 minutes before and after your workout could really save you from an injury and take your workout from like a 5 to a 10. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something. If you guys are looking for workouts to follow along with during quarantine or maybe use for inspiration in your own program, you can follow me on Instagram at Jane K. Simmons. If you have any questions about fitness, health, lifestyle, whatever, go ahead and comment below, or you can always DM me. If you guys liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video, and I will see you guys in my next video.